What's up, y'all? And thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T. This is my second video. I just did my Rampage, AEW Rampage video. And I'm moving on to Friday Night Smackdown. My rundown of thoughts for the 1st of October 2021. Already, we are in the next month, October. Happens to be my birthday month. Happy birthday to me. Well, not yet, about a week from now. But I digress. Let's move on. October 22 will be when the draft goes into effect. That's told to us by Michael Cole. And it's going to be taking place one day after the Crown Jewel event. So all these people that get drafted are still going to be on their respective brands before they move over. There's a lot of rivalries right now, a lot of feuds that are going on, and I'd like to see some, what do you call it, some resolutions to those things before they move on and go somewhere else and start to start some feuds with other people, because it's always great to have fresh feuds and not recycling the same BS every single time. Remember, the prime example and the prime thing, of course, was what Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns. How long did they let that thing go, and how long did they keep going until it pretty much dug its own grave, and the grave was getting deeper and deeper. They kept digging themselves a hole. It's like, oh, what are you guys doing? Enough already. But hopefully, this draft, which I don't think they've ever gotten right, will do something to that. Now, Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce get a boo response, but why? You know, it's because they're the authority figures. Like, they're not Stephanie McMahon or Triple H. Okay, they'll get boos, not them. Come on. But this is the first round, and the SmackDown selects Roman Reigns. Why not? Because he's the Universal Champion. Like, that's a surprise. I'd like to have seen the titles change hands. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Not change hands, but change brands. That would be kind of good. How long has it been since that happened, right? Could have been recently. It could have been a few years ago or something like that. But the one I totally remember was what was that when Brock ended up switching brands. I think he went from SmackDown to Raw, something like that. Now let's go on to Monday Night Raw, and they pick Big E. Okay, there you go. That answers my question. WWE Champion stays on Raw. And then SmackDown picks Charlotte. That's very interesting because she is a Raw Women's Champion. Now she's on SmackDown. And then Bianca heads to the Red brand, so she's gonna probably finish up stuff with with Sasha and with Becky, and then she's gonna see what happens. You know, I was just thinking that if this happens, is let's say you know um, Becky goes to Raw, or are they gonna do like a whole thing like what the Street Profits and New Day did last year, where they switched titles, and then they counted that as a title change, as a winning a championship, which it shouldn't even count like that. I don't know why. So if they do that with Charlotte and Becky, oh, here we go again. But Charlotte's gonna get a 15 championship. What's her total now? Like they're gonna switch title. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Let's move on. Now, 397 days as the reigning Universal Champion, almost 400 days for the Tribal Chief, and the number one draft pick in the first round heads to the ring. We the ones. Is you Roman Reigns? Like, what kind of grammar is that? We the ones. I know they say that when you're hip. You know how you talk, street. But that's the thing on the back of his shirt because there's bloodline right here, and he's going like this, like. Now, acknowledge me, says Reigns, and Heyman doesn't think the crowd is loud enough. Well, how about you ask the guys in the producer's truck there, Heyman, to pipe up or turn up the volume for the crowd noise that they pipe in? Like, you're saying that's not loud enough? I guarantee you nobody in the crowd cheered that loud because maybe a lot of them aren't interested anymore in Roman Reigns. I don't know. Maybe his time now is for him to, I don't know, because, was the crowd into it? Really? No, no. But it's funny when he says that. I'm thinking, isn't oftentimes it's the producer's truck, it's the WWE that pipes in the applause and the boos. So maybe you should have got them on your speed dial. Call them, hey, let you guys you know pipe up the cheers a little bit more. Now the suplexorcist, like I'm like really Paul, like that's a stretch. of a word, even for you to explain what Reigns is as compared to the mayor of Suplex City, Brock Lesnar. Like he's the one that's going to suplexorcise him, and ask and you shall receive. He brought up Brock Lesnar, and the Beast music hits, and really call the greatest match put together by WWE. This match, we've seen it before. I mean, they're different. It's different now because Brock isn't in Heyman's Heyman's thing. Heyman's not his thing no more. His advocate, but it's like, and then it's a match that I refuse to watch because it's going to be held at Crown Jewel, the epicenter of blood money. Why would I watch it? And also, like I've said before in videos before, I said I'm not going to watch it because, like I said, I don't want to sit there and watch a royal family of their Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, just sitting there not giving a fuck. It's distracting when you try to watch a match and they're just sitting there, and sometimes they're not even looking, and sometimes they're just off to the side. It looks like they're having a big ass like comfy couch in the front, and they might as well have their own TV watching whatever they're watching in Saudi Arabia. You know. Now, Reigns, he didn't step down. He didn't, slide out of the ring. He actually took it to Brock Lesnar. But Lesnar takes the suplexorcist. God, that's a lot to digest. To Suplex City, as well as the Usos, who came into the ring and to aid their tribal chief. They got taken out, laid out. Reigns does step on the apron again, and he doesn't. And then we see an F5 to both Jimmy and Jay as an exclamation mark for Reigns to contemplate. It's going to happen to your ass at Crown Jewel, says the Beast Incarnate. Charlotte is the overall number one pick in the women's division, and according to her, Fox picked her because they know who the real face is, and she winks to Kayla Braxton. And long live the Queen, who gives us a woo. Is WWE gonna like that? I mean, they removed Ric Flair's woo from the opening intro. I read a news title, what do you want to call it? A thumbnail, whatever you want to say. It said that he was removed from the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's just someone trying to clickbait and get people to read their article. I don't know. I haven't read that yet, but that wouldn't surprise me. But then once Flair is back in their good graces, they'll put him back in. They did that with Hogan. They took him out. You think it's definite? Especially because of the N-word bomb that he threw that one day when he was talking to his daughter, and he hated the fact that she was dating a black guy, and he said the N-word, and then they removed him for other things too, and then they put him back in. So WWE, as long as a person can bring them exposure and money and all that stuff, because Hogan's still someone that can attract attention and bring money to WWE. Just on his name alone. So, they're not going to keep Ric Flair out forever. They'll bring him back in. Now, KO versus Happy Corbin and his associate, whatever you want to call him, Madcap Moss. Boy, this guy was pretty much like a guy who could be like a hired killer type character, a dude that was pretty intense. Along with Tino Sabatelli, who I read that he was, released from WWE, but together they had a pretty decent tag team, and then he's this guy who all he does is joke all day and laugh. It's like so stupid. Tell us a joke. I'll tell you three small ones. Joke, joke, joke. Fucking, no, yeah, really? I mean, this is SmackDown's version of Miz and Morrison, and they may be more annoying. What a feat to accomplish there. Congrats to Happy and to Madcap for being worse than and more annoying than Miz and Morrison. That's like I said, a big accomplishment right there. Now, the King of the Ring and long rumored the Queen's crown. Well, there was be Queen. They're saying Queen of the Ring, but they call it Queen's crown. The tournament starts next week on the season premiere of SmackDown, and I won't be able to be there, so it kind of sucks because I would love to have been there so I can kind of see this thing kick off. But I'll be there in spirit. It's happening in San Jose, California. It's not too far from where I live, so it would have been great to be there. But I'm not. So let's move on from that. The second round of the draft, the first pick is Drew McIntyre, who goes to the Blue Brand. Okay. That's going to be a good thing because I think he needs new opponents, a fresh slew of fresh slate of guys that he can hit with the Claymore. And then Raw picks RK Bro, so they're tag team champions. Will stay there. Raw. The New Day go to SmackDown, so they split up them and Big E again. And the final pick in the second round is for Raw is the rated R superstar Edge. Now, Drew McIntyre is excited to be headed to the Blue Brand. He has unfinished business. He talks about being there the first time, a 19, 20-year-old. First time he was in WWE, that's where he went. And so that's like his home. And he's looking to, settle some scores. And he's pretty much focused on the bloodline. And he's looking to flip that table on the head of the table, Roman Reigns and Usos. And he has his sights set on that Universal title. And he takes Angela and points it to the thing, to the camera. So look out, Roman. If you still are the champion when he arrives, you gotta you may have a Claymore in your future. But then Brock might win the title, so we'll see. Now Edge is here, and the newest draftee to Raw is headed to the ring. And annoying Rollins finds his way into Edge's house, which is left unlocked by Edge. And Edge calls the police. And haven't we seen this before? I fast forwarded through this thing. I'm thinking I've seen this before. I've seen this before. And isn't like Edge's kids a little bit older than, I mean, you saw drawings under that looks like it was done by a 3 and a 5-year-old. I think, aren't they like in their 9, 10 maybe? You know what I mean? I don't know how old they are, but I don't think they're that so young that they had pictures that looked like they were done by kindergartners. I don't you know what I mean? I mean, we can't all be artists, especially that's what Rollins said. He goes, yeah, I guess we can't, I guess that's not their future, being artists, And we've seen it time and again. It's like a thing that they want to rehash every fucking time. Remember Randy Orton and Triple H, right? We go way, way back to Stone Cold and Brian Pillman, right? Breaking into someone's house, but those things were confrontational. This wasn't. But still, it's that same formula. Now, Carmella lost at Extreme Rules. We all know that. And I predict she loses tonight. Her opponent is Liv Morgan. And how many times are we going to see this matchup? And the match seemingly is pretty much thrown out because we see Carmella putting on something. Before you hit me in my beautiful face, like she says, he turns around. She has a luchador mask on. Plain looking mask. Perhaps some people will say it's an improvement. I've never said that she's ugly. But the way she acts and all that makes her ugly because it's the way she acts, her attitude. She's a gorgeous, beautiful woman, of course. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna debate that. But she put the mask on, and then she just kicks Liv and she takes her down. She does that. What's that move that like X-Pac does, where she slams a person's face, just a split, but slams someone's face into the into the mat. And the match didn't even start, so I mean, we're gonna prolong this a little bit longer, I guess. Now, half the night and the other half just Monday on Raw. That's what Sonya Deville said. I don't think she mentioned that before. Well, she did. I'm just being facetious. I'm just being silly. It's just being her, like I said, her being redundant. We got it. We got it the first time. The half tonight, of course, that's what you do. You got two shows. You can do half here, half there. Yeah, simple as that. Now, SmackDown against Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. Of course, why would they split them up? They just got together. Why not? And then Raw gets Ripley and ASH, Miss Nikki there, the tag team champions. So they keep the women's tag team champions there. Were they there? Or were they on SmackDown? No, they were on Raw. Where were they? Yeah, they were on wherever they were. Doesn't really matter because they go from brand to brand anyways. And then SmackDown, this is very surprising. They got Hit Row. B-Fab and Swerve Scott, the reigning North American champion in NXT. And then you got Top Dollar. You got Shanti D. Adonis. Hopefully, WWE doesn't split these guys up, but it's going to happen. But they do got a great tag team in Top Dollar and Ashanti. If they do split them up, make them a tag team and make them go after the titles and make them a part of the scant division of tag team division there in WWE. But and then Swerve Scott can be right up there amongst the mid card. Maybe kind of move up to the main event depending on how they book them. He's money. The guy can go. I'm not the only one that says that. When he first came to NXT, we definitely saw signs of brilliance, and then look what he's done since he's come to NXT. Now he's on the main roster. Now, BFAB, she struggles in the ring. She's pretty green, but she can only get better. She just has to, listen to her trainers when she's training with them and when she's getting better, because we've seen female wrestlers get better, and they've been nothing but worse the first time we saw them. I mean, Lana was getting better, and then of course she's gone now. And there's other wrestlers. I mean, look at Trish Stratus. She's one of the greatest of all time, but she started out as a valet. She started out on that level, and then she became one of the greatest. BFAB, she just has to keep working at it. And I'm not saying she's awful, but then again, she's not that good. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like, it's good to be critiqued, because you get better. If someone's going to tell you, even though you're awful, that you're good, how are you going to improve? How are you going to get any better when you don't have people criticizing you, at least? Because then you can know, okay, I'm bad at this. Okay, I'll get better than this. I'll get better than that. You know. But it's good to see them there, and hopefully they do survive. Happens in the main roster. They like to break up groups and all that stuff. I shudder to think about what would happen if Undisputed Era was still intact, and then they drafted them to the main roster. What would have happened to them? But let's move on. The final pick for Raw was Keith Bearcat Lee. So he stays there. Good for the Bearcat. Now, New Day and the Street Profits versus Rude and Ziggler, along with the Alpha Academy. And the chaos is over, and the New Day win it for their team with that double team move. And is it me, or did this match prove nothing? And did it have really any reason to happen aside from placing 8 men in a match so that they can have their spot, on the match card? I mean, I didn't. What was the point of it? I'd like to see probably next week you put the New Day with versus the Street Profits, and then maybe they can battle for the tag team titles. Like this could be like an elimination thing or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was this for? Now, the final round in the WWE Draft. The first pick was Naomi for SmackDown, and of course, Sonya has to keep showing her disdain and sowing the seeds of a rivalry or a feud. It's getting old. We get it. You don't like her. Even when they went to move on to the next pick, she's like this. I'm like, why in the first place do you have an attitude with her? That's the thing. I mean, she did say why, but her reasoning was like, no, that's not Naomi. You can't talk shit like that about Naomi because she's actually better than what you're saying. Like, really? Pick someone else, like the flavor of the month that is getting all this thing. Like, it would have probably worked with like Tony Storm. You could say, oh, I don't know, who is Tony Storm? Because nobody in the main roster, even just people that only watch Raw or SmackDown, so they wouldn't know who she is because she's never been on Raw or SmackDown before. Naomi's been there for the longest time, 10 years, right? Something like that, over a decade. But she's there, and that's good for SmackDown. And then Raw selects Ray and Dominic. Of course, they are a package deal. You know what I'm saying? The Mysterios. And in SmackDown, we'll have the charismatic Enigma Jeff Hardy. That's cool. And Raw gets the final pick, and for tonight, they pick Austin Theory. Good. Austin Theory is, no pun intended for the diamond mine, but he is a diamond in the rough. He is a guy who has untapped potential right there, and I don't think they've even touched that potential yet. He was good in the way with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. But let's see how he does on his own. He brings he has a reputation, where people do like him. He is a great wrestler from where he came from, So let's see his potential now. Let's see it come out. Let's take advantage of it and let people see what he can do. When he's not being a goofball and a guy who is silly like he was in NXT. Yeah, he definitely can. We see him before on Raw. He was on Raw for some time. He was with Murphy, right? No, he was part of. He was part of Seth Rollins' little crew there. Right. And hopefully they sent him back to NXT, and hopefully he picked up a little more experience, and then now he can kind of, be right up there in the mid card, or maybe one day he will main event. You never know. Now Jeff Hardy's backstage with Kayla, and he's talking to him about being SmackDown bound, and then Brock Lesnar shows up, and Jeff backs out and gives Lesnar his time, and I see as how I don't blame him. And then Brock says that he has a public announcement. A public announcement from the Beast Incarnate. He said, I'd like to thank my good friend Paul Heyman. Because of Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar is a free agent. All because of Paul, and all because of that, Brock Lesnar gets to do whatever Brock Lesnar wants to do. So he's not going to be drafted anywhere because he can go from either brand. He's got that label, forever free agent, I guess, So, yeah. Yeah, I would be like, okay, go ahead and do what you want to do. I mean, you know. Now, the Bloodline are seen backstage, and Reigns calls out Heyman and asks him, why are they good, as I say, are they good friends? Huh? Are you friends with Brock Lesnar there? Good friends there, Paul? And, because if they are, then why were the Usos not drafted to SmackDown? If he's not good friends with the Tribal Chief, why aren't you doing something to get them drafted? But Heyman assures Reigns that it's all planned out, it's a strategy. And he's like, okay, we'll go with that strategy, says Reigns. And he the things are going to take place at the strategy's in place, and it's going to take place at the Raw's draft night. And Reigns, commands Heyman to be at Raw, and assure that the Usos will be drafted to Raw. Not to Raw, to SmackDown. And Reigns tells the Usos to follow Heyman. If they are not drafted to SmackDown, then they are ordered to leave Paul for dead at Raw. Pretty harsh words from the Tribal Chief, but if he doesn't get what he wants, sometimes that's what it takes. Put a little fire under Heyman's, butt to go there and be, and also his cousins need to make sure that it happens as well. Main event time, and the EST of WWE is headed to the ring, and the boss is not far behind as she makes her way as well. So a triple threat. Let's talk about this first. A triple threat match between Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, and the reigning women's champion of SmackDown, Becky Lynch, and it's going to happen at Crown Jewel. So what does that mean? That these ladies will be wrapped up as mummies? Because heaven forbid we see skin in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I get it. They don't want to see women in that way because it's not, because what they do there. I don't need to get into it. But we saw, what was that? The last time we saw was excuse me, it was Natalia and Lacey Evans, right? And they were all covered. Archaic, but that's what they do in that country. That whatever. I'm not gonna criticize, but that's what's gonna happen for these three women. That was gonna happen at that triple threat match. A great match, a marquee match, and they're going to waste it in Saudi Arabia, waste it at Crown Jewel. Same thing with the Brock Lesnar and Reigns match that's going to be for the Universal Championship. They're not going to save that for another pay-per-view. And I gotta tell you, Becky Lynch, she does bring up a good point that she never lost the Raw Women's title. Yeah, she surrendered it and actually put it in the Money in the Bank thing, and then it was given to Asuka because Asuka won the Money in the Bank. So she never won it. And, never lost it. She never, what am I trying to say? But Becky Lynch never lost it. And she says he's also beaten the Queen a number of times. But to me, I would like to see a unification match to create an undisputed women's champion that goes from brand to brand. You know what I mean? And, well, a lot of us want to see that, But the man grabs a hold of the Bianca's braid. She gets involved as the champ. And then she gives Sasha the in to roll up Belair and gets the pin. But Charlotte delivers a pair of kicks, one to Sasha, off screen. All of a sudden, Sasha just falls back. And oh, shit. That's how quick Charlotte was. And then she does the same to Bianca. And then... Of course, the SmackDown champ, the man, Becky Lynch, just takes the opportunity to stand on the announcer's desk and holds her title up. And Charlotte's like, like that. Like, you're not the real champ. I'm the champ now. I'm the champ of SmackDown, even though she has the Raw Championship, Raw Women's Championship. But yeah, that was it was an okay you know thing. I liked it. It was okay, the match. I liked the finish. It was pretty funny, especially because when Becky Lynch had that goofy look on her face, like she went, "Oop, sorry," like she didn't mean to hold her braid, like that. That was kind of funny. That was a good touch right there. But yeah, SmackDown was it was okay, better than last week. I have no complaints, really. I don't. Some things here are kind of like, what? Scratch, head scratch, head scratch. The brand. I mean, the draft. Does the draft really matter? Honestly, does the draft matter? Does it do anything? Shakes it up a little bit. Sure, you're seeing different people on other brands, but it's the same thing. Here's the thing: it doesn't matter if you bring different people to the other brand and vice versa, because if the writing is still the same, if the booking is still the same, if it's still like a rinse and repeat and rehash of storylines after storylines, it doesn't matter. It's a different cast, the same play. That's how it's going to be. So you need to do something about that part, because it's nice to see people switching brands. It's nice. You see a different matchups, but if it's the same crap, and like I said before, it's not going to matter. But anyway, that's my rundown of thoughts on Raw. Well, it's not Raw, excuse me, for SmackDown for the 1st of October 2021. Let's see how this month goes. A lot of things are happening now in WWE, so let's see how it goes, especially with the King of the Ring tournament and the Queen's Crown. That's going to be pretty cool. So for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care.